everybody. Welcome to Life Stories Podcast, People Helping People. I'm Shara, your host, and welcome to my 200th episode. I can't believe I'm at 200 episodes. I am so excited to be celebrating today. My guest today is the perfect fit for my celebration. I have Ande Lyons on today, who has a long list of accomplishments. She's done some incredible things, but right now she's the producer and host of her own podcast, Don't Be Caged by Your Age. Ande is a go-getter. She is not going to let anything stop her, including her age. I had the privilege of meeting her at a podcast conference a few months ago, and she's so much fun to talk to. She's so much fun to listen to, and so I just thank you for being here. Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited. I made an executive decision, which is really funny because I'm the only person that does anything with this. So, but I made an executive decision. So my 200th episode is coming up, and I've been just trying to figure out to ask somebody what do I do? I'm going to put you at my 200th episode.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so
Stop. Well, I'm gonna tell you, first of all, what an honor.
well, I'm just so excited to talk to you. I was
Like
telling
this.
my husband about you. I said it was just funny because when I met you, I had already been following you on Instagram because when I first started my podcast, I was looking for podcasters and just to see what people are doing. So I had been following you for a while. And then when I saw you and I saw your name, I was like, "Oh my god,
Wait.
I think I follow her." And then you popped up on Podmatch, like as a match. I was like, "This is crazy." I have lots to learn from you. So,
Oh gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I have lots to share. When you mentioned your 200th episode, it reminded me, I'm on my sixth podcast, but when I wrapped up Startup Life live show, I had 250 live episodes, had almost 300 for the Apple and Spotify, but live twice a week on all the channels. I wrapped up in the 250th episode a big yay, Andy. I took
you
all
should.
this, I did this wonderful episode where I showcased all the great conversations. I grabbed snippets, but I did it for me.
Yeah,
So it wasn't so much about me, the whole thing was about, wow, look at this body of work, look at all the people we talked to, look at all the things we learned from startup founders, diverse startup founders around the world. But I did it for me because I wanted to, because so often as creators, we just don't get acknowledged.
right. Right.
And the acknowledgement starts with looking in the mirror.
I'm not doing the podcast for me, but here's what I get excited about. When other guests that I've had connect with other guests that I've had, or
Oh, that's lovely.
yeah, or somebody that I've talked to, or somebody in my personal life will let me know, I listened to this episode and I'm going to contact them, or they really help me, whatever. That's what I do. That's what I love. But it's nice to look back and see what you've done, and
The body of work, I have to tell you. And you don't do it, quote, for you, but you actually do it for you, meaning this is an
it's a
important
desire.
creative
Yeah.
outlet. I
Yes.
mean, and it's a way for you to feel the magic you need,
Yeah.
which is, I love seeing that person and that person, they come together, and then maybe that person hired that person. Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you are uplifted by it,
Yeah.
but you are here to serve the world,
Sure.
obviously, with, your content. So it is a greater purpose.
Yes. In all the things that you're doing, you're trying to fight ageism and you're trying to teach people not to give up after retirement or don't retire. Keep going, doing something. You're created to do something. But it blows my mind that you even need to bring awareness to this because when I look at the list of things you've done, oh my gosh, it's so long. It's so long. I'm assuming now, probably over 800 episodes in podcasts.
Absolutely, closer to
Yeah.
1,000.
Yeah. So I'm reading your Podmatch bio. I was reading through this. You've raised lots and lots and lots of money for different things that you've started. I mean, I could read it all. It's a lot. One of the things I thought was really cool is you had your own kind of Shark Tank, which I thought
I
was
sure did.
pretty awesome. Tell me about that.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your
Oh, sure.
podcast. This is
Right.
so great, and life stories are so important. Every time I have an episode, start an episode
Yeah,
for Don't Be Caged by Your Age,
that's right.
I talk about not only Let's Age Out Loud and Proud, but we have this wonderful hindsight where we can look back at our life stories and see how everything prepared us for where we are today. So I think that your podcast is so important because life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And so being able to talk about life stories is
Sure.
really key. But for me, oh my gosh, the question was again?
About your Shark Tank, you didn't call it
Oh
Shark
my
Tank,
gosh.
but
So,
you've
yeah,
just
so
done some
I'm
cool things.
yeah, so I have been unemployable since 1992.
And what does
Then
that mean?
that means I could not go to work for anybody anymore. I had to launch my own businesses, and frankly, even when I did try to find a job, I remember it was 2015, I had great connections. People were carrying my resume to people, and "You gotta hire her." Never, ever even called for an interview. And a friend of mine who was big in the HR field said, "Andy, we don't hire this," and she scrolled her hand down my body. So, I understand that. But in 2014, I started seeing online horrible advice being given for launching businesses. It was network marketing advice. And that, no, 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 that's sales. Really launching a business is when you decide to bring a solution to a problem people are having that they're willing to pay for.
Yeah,
So you can have the greatest idea since sliced bread, but if nobody wants that problem solved, nor do they want to pay for it, it will not matter.
right.
And I'll give Airbnb as the best example. No one was having a stranger in their home. Great idea. Nobody was having it
Yeah.
until we had the Great Recession in 2008. And then people are like, I need to make some money. You want to stay here for a night? I'll charge you $100. Great. And boom, right? It
Yeah,
exploded. Same with Uber. Nobody was going to get into some stranger's car. Are you
right.
nuts? Right? Boom. So I bring that up because the advice I was seeing was driving me nuts. And
Yeah,
so I launched Startup Life. And by 2018, I had been mentoring around the world. I was part of accelerator programs where I was a mentor, I was a judge at pitch events, and I decided to co-host with my friend AJ a monthly pitch event here in Boston. And so every month, 5 founders would come and have 99 seconds to pitch their value proposition. Here's a solution to a problem that folks are having and are willing to pay for. And then, the audience would ask questions. These were live in person, and then we'd have a few investors who could really poke holes in their idea, but big learning moment for everyone. And I did that for 3 years, and it was wonderful. But in 2023, I left the startup ecosystem. I'd been in the startup world for forever, and I just felt it was time to do something else. And that's the beauty of aging, is that you start to sit back and go, "Well, how do I wanna use my energy?" And you start managing your energy portfolio along with your financial portfolio.
yeah.
And one of the things that happened towards the end of my time in the startup ecosystem is that I would notice people saying, and well meaning people saying to folks and other founders when they were pitching their business, explain your business as if you were telling your grandma. And oh my gosh, I'd wanna jump out of my seat because first of all, it was never grandpa, it was always grandma, and stop
Right,
making grandma sound like she's stupid. She's got,
right.
50, 60 big years, as an adult that
Yeah,
we've been living. Not only that, boomers are tech legends, not tech
right,
challenged. We have had to learn more technology and then teach it over the years. We've gone from analog to digital in ways that people cannot even imagine.
right.
So that used to frustrate me. And then everybody assumed I was in my early 50s, if that. And I thought, oh my God, this is wrong. I was, 65. And so I was thinking, I got to come out about my age. And so when I turned 66 in 2022, I grabbed the US. Do I have it right here? Yeah. I have to bring it out. Oh, big noise in the background. Sorry about that.
No, that's
I
good.
grabbed the US 66
Awesome.
because I know
Yeah,
you do video too.
yeah.
This sign, and I held it in front of me as a photo and said, and the look on my face, Shara, was like, will you still love me now that you know I'm this friggin' old? That's how uncomfortable I was about sharing my age, but I did it. And all of this long story is leading to this post I put on LinkedIn called "Don't Be Caged by Your Age."
Yeah.
I addressed ageism, and especially gendered ageism, in the tech industry, and
Yeah.
especially in the startup ecosystem,
Yeah.
and it went viral on LinkedIn, and so that's how I knew I needed to move on and start talking about ageism.
First of all, let me say you look fabulous for your age, I have to say. You look fabulous, and
It
I've
it's
seen you in person. You look just like that in person. This is not all filters, and I
Thank
love
you, it's in
that.
my DNA, we all age differently,
Right. Right.
but thank you.
One of the things that you say often is that pastures are for horses, not humans. Why is it so important for people to remember that they don't have to give up or stop doing things when they turn a certain age?
Right. Well, we have been indoctrinated for so long to think that when the clock strikes midnight on 65, you're done.
Right.
Hit the hay. And all of a sudden, there are people in their late 50s, they're starting to get really nervous because they're noticing that they're being treated as though they're permafrost. They're just,
Right.
yeah, you're going to not be needed in a few years. Who says ambition and creativity have an expiration date? They need
Right.
to retire. And so we have a whole group of folks who, generations really at this point, of talent that get wasted by
Yeah.
society. And it's so bad that the World Health Organization in 2021 declared retirement an epidemic costing society billions of dollars.
Wow.
And that's because of the judgment, the bias, whether it's on purpose or indoctrinated, both on society and corporations, institutions, but also the ones we've put into our own head. We're supposed to retire. And then what I recall with my parents retiring, they did this, or my grandparents, when they stopped, they were, well,
Right.
no, if you've made it to 65, there's a really high chance you're going to make it to 85.
Right.
What are you going to do with those next 20 years? And someone who's 65, I always say, or older, look back at what you did the last 20 years,
Yeah.
right? From 45 to, oh my gosh, you got a lot of living left.
That's right.
How you do it is different. And so that's why I say that, because we don't want that limitation put on us, because once we stop being engaged and being part of community and being visible and contributing and using our beautiful brains and using our beautiful bodies, the illnesses will seep in and
Yeah.
take over. And the next thing we know, we're really sick and we've become a burden on our family and friends.
And we don't want that.
No.
No. Well, I started my podcast at 48. And so I feel like I'm just getting started. Like, this is just the beginning for me. You talk to so many different people on your podcast, and you say that you've been having delicious conversations. Tell everybody what kind of conversations you'd like to have. Who do you like to talk to?
Well, I like to talk to people who figured out what can fuel their passion, their purpose, and their pocketbook,
Yeah.
because representation matters. Just like it was important to me to interview diverse founders so people could see all walks of life
Right.
succeeding. I like to do this for folks who are 65 plus, and
Yeah.
95% of my guests are 65 plus. Occasionally, I'll let in someone between 60 and 65,
Yeah.
and then maybe once a quarter, I bring in a
Yeah.
youngin'.
A youngin.
But when you see it, you can be it. You've heard that many
Absolutely.
times, right?
Yeah.
And so the conversations I like having is just with everyday people who
Yeah.
figured it out and who might be writing books, who have learned a new language, who have taken on some wild, uh, routines as an athlete, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
or who might have one eye and one leg, but they figured out a way to do something that really lights them up so that I can spark curiosity
Yeah.
in our listeners so they can go,
Yes.
"Wow, I don't need to retire, I just need to rewire."
There you go. That's a great way to look at it. I love that. And you make it all look so easy. Like it's just, you just do it. It just looks so easy. But are there any mind shifts that you've had to take over the years as you started new ventures? And
Oh, and, in all my ventures?
yeah.
Yeah, I've always called myself the reluctant entrepreneur. Nothing was like, "I wanna go and do this." That never
Oh, yeah.
happened. And I would just be minding my own business and got sparked by an idea, and then I kept getting so many signs like "Yeah, you move this direction, move there, and do this." And I was like, "Oh, what? Are you kidding? I know nothing about that." I had a food manufacturing business. I knew nothing. I didn't even know what a SKU was, SKU. And it's like a stock keeper unit or something. I still to this day, I'm
Yeah.
confused by it. Um, so at the same time, I dove in and I learned so much, and everything has prepared me
Yeah.
for what I'm doing today. And, allowed me 8 years of mentorship for other founders. But,
Yeah.
to talk about podcasting, it absolutely is my favorite thing. So when I left the startup ecosystem, I did a 30 episode palette cleanser called Your Ink Story, where I
Oh,
interviewed people about the tattoos on their body.
that's awesome.
I don't have tattoos, but I was always fascinated by people.
Yeah.
And I always found it a beautiful way to connect with a perfect stranger.
Sure.
And I'd be like, "May I ask you what's the story behind your ink? Or
That's awesome.
would you be willing to tell me your ink story?"
Yeah.
And at a time when we're feeling so divided from each other,
Mhm.
tattoos are the human journey across the board. Any ink you see in somebody's body is some human
Right.
emotion, experience, something that we all have in common. We may not all be into horror tattoos or
Right.
whatever, or heavy metal music
Right.
tattoos, but we know how to be in love with music. We know
Yeah.
how movies can affect us. But there's always, I love mom, or their children's birth dates, or their favorite pet that they lost. Some people are putting ashes in the ink and carrying
Oh,
that person that
wow.
they loved and lost on their body. Sometimes it's a design or words and affirmation that just helps them get through the day.
Yeah.
I mean, the stories were amazing. But what I knew when I left the startup ecosystem was that I love podcasting so much. Since the day I started podcasting in 2012, I have loved this medium for so many reasons.
Yeah. Me
And
too. Me
right?
too. I
Yeah,
agree.
and let's see, 2012, how old was I then? 2012, I was 50 something, right?
Yeah.
56 and starting that. So, what I often tell, and especially older adults, first of all, the overhead is very low. Once you purchase
Yes.
your mic, a
Yeah.
one-time purchase and the one-time purchase of a camera, if you're gonna do video, you do not have
Sure.
to do video. Um, then it's $50 a month, maybe,
Yeah.
for all the incredible bells and whistles we have out in the world to do podcasting. But you wanna decrease loneliness? Start a podcast, start connecting people. You want to enter a new industry? Oh my gosh. I was nobody in the pro-aging industry in March of
Right.
2024. By November 2024, I was considered a thought leader with real thought leaders in the
Yeah.
industry because podcasting amplifies your social proof of what
Right.
you're doing, but also as a mentor to startups, I would interview these founders. They'd tell me all sorts of things. I'm like, "Oh my god, that's the answer I need for that client."
Right. Oh, that's so wonderful. That helped you out in more
Eh
than one way. You
yeah.
know, I have found, and you've done this longer and more, but and maybe this is the story for you too. I have found that this community is some of the kindest people. They have been the kindest people. Even at that conference, I was a little, I mean, I wanted to go and I was excited, but I was by myself. And so it's
Right.
all new people to me. Everybody was so kind. And I love that. I appreciate that, you know?
Well, I'm so happy you mentioned that because when I launched Don't Be Caged by Your Age in March 2024, and earlier in January, I said my intention for 2024 was to build community
Yeah.
locally. I was done. I'd been online for 15 years, tired of the online community. I needed face to face.
Yeah.
And I thought, like you just said, who lights me up the most? Indie podcasters. They're
Right.
so fascinating.
Yeah.
They're so lovely. They're so generous. And so I said, I'm going to launch the New England Podcasters Group. And although I live in Massachusetts, I didn't want to keep it to like Boston, right?
Right.
I wanted to be expansive. And so on May 11th, 2024, I showed up. I had found a wonderful place that would host us with parking. And it's actually a cable access TV place. So it has a TV studio and a podcast
Oh,
studio.
wow.
So that worked out great. I knew a few local people and that I'd known for years. I said, "Will you be there that first day with me?" And so I knew I was shored up, but there'd be 3 of us, right?
Yeah.
And, one of them I knew was gonna talk about one of the things she's great at, which is monetizing your podcast. So I said, "Okay, I've got that featured speaker." I brought a little food and beverage with me, and we had, what, 15 people show up, and it has
Wow.
been that and much more every single month, and one of the things I did was made it so that it's on the 2nd Saturday of every month at 12 p.m. at this location.
Yeah.
I'll be here. And so all of a sudden people are like, "Wow," getting in their cars and driving on a
Yeah.
Saturday, carving out time to come because they knew they'd find comradeship, right? Collaboration, connection, laughter,
Yeah.
celebration. And one of the things I did from day one was I handed out clappers, these
I
sound
remember your
clappers.
clapper.
And because it takes we often show up at for a quote, "networking thing" with our veneer, our
Right.
masks on, and the clappers just take everybody to the same level, meaning we're all like and, it helps everybody to be even more present
Yeah.
and fun and relaxed, and I'm telling you, out of all the businesses I've done, I mean, I have had a dot-com heavily backed by VC, the food manufacturing business that was backed by Angel, and 3 other businesses that were a charming personality backed. This has been one of the most rewarding and fulfilling things I've done, and
That's
we've done
awesome.
some podcasters group. We even have an online space
Oh,
now,
yeah.
the Pod Garden, because I kept getting pinged by people going, "I can't show up in person, but I wanna be part of this group." I'm like, "Okay, I don't wanna say, 'No, you can't.'"
Right, right.
So we figured out how to make a great virtual experience for everybody. We have, the TV cameras are being purchased
Yeah.
that way, and then the Pod Garden is a way for people to stay connected at all times.
Sure. That's awesome. I may have to pop in there sometime and just, make a little visit. I can't make it to Boston, but
Oh, you've got a complimentary ticket anytime you
oh,
want to our
thank you.
Saturday event. We'd
Thank you. Thank
love
you.
to have you, and the Zoom room, as we call it,
Yeah.
is very lively.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, one of the questions I was going to ask you about meeting people locally, everybody's always been very nice, but have you had any like strange people show up? Like, I don't know. I think I might be a little leery of, you know,
In-person events?
yeah,
Yeah, no,
not
I
been scary at all or,
no, well, first of all, one of the ways you can really filter that out I didn't charge for the first 10 months, but the
yeah,
best way to filter that out
it's the
is
charge.
charge.
Yeah.
When people have skin in the
Right.
game, they're not showing up for the free food,
That's true.
and they're there to add value. And same thing with the pitch event. Maybe once in a while you get an odd duck, but nobody weird, nobody scary,
That's
nobody
good.
sketchy. I mean,
Meeting
and
at noon helps, I would think. That helps,
yeah, but the pitch event was it started at 6, I think 6:30
yeah.
downtown Boston
Oh, wow.
in the evening I think we were the 3rd Wednesday of every month, and, yeah, no, and we had a much bigger crowd there, probably
Yeah.
50 to 100,
Wow.
and, yeah, no sketchy.
That's
Um,
good.
I think you
That's
put
good.
out that vibe of,
Yeah.
and then you charge.
Right. That makes a difference.
And they pay up
Um,
front,
yeah.
so you can't come in unless they've already paid.
Yeah. For somebody that's wanting to start a podcast, what is a piece of advice you could give them? I know I mean, like you said, you talked about the mic. There's not a lot of overhead, but what is some advice you could give them in preparing for that?
Be curious
Mhm.
and also understand, are you going to be a solo 10-minute, I wanna share some advice and wisdom person? Is that what calls to you? Or do you want to interview people because you
Yeah.
want to enter a new industry and you wanna interview all the experts in that industry?
Yeah.
Or you wanna interview authors? What do you wanna get out of this? And so just like when you launch a business, it's so important to have a why. Why? Why do I wanna do this? What am I gonna get
Right.
out of this experience that's gonna feel so good for me that I'm willing to do the extra work, which is preparing for the podcast episode, understanding the technology, how to edit for it, how to promote it,
Right.
all the things. You gotta have that thing inside you that goes, I know that's hard and that's scary, and I'm gonna be stretched in this way, but, it's worth it because ba-boom, fill
Yeah.
that out, and you're gonna be onto your 50th, 100th, and like you, almost 200 episodes in before you know it.
Yeah, I know. I blinked and here we are after all this time. How important do you think as a podcaster doing lives are? Because I've heard some people say you need to be doing lives regularly. And honestly, lives freak me out.
Oh, yeah, no.
Just, I can't edit myself.
I know. Okay, lives. I happen to love lives
Yeah.
for that reason, because you're in the present moment. You have to improv. In fact, we have an improv troupe coming to the New England Podcasters
Oh,
group
wow.
in April because
Yeah.
you need to be able to think on your feet. You have
Right.
to be okay with technology getting squirrely.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with no one showing up. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times crickets. It doesn't matter because 'cause you're gonna be repurposing that content anyway.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy it because it's edutainment,
Yeah.
and you are going live, and there's no editing, and it just really forces you into the present moment in a way instead of going, "Oh, I can edit that out over," but also it frees you up to go, "I can't remember what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Shoot, what happened?" Yeah, you're okay with that
Yeah.
because nobody's looking for perfection. That said, do not do it if it terrifies you.
Right.
But if you want to try it out, give me a call. I'll go live with you.
Okay, I may do that. So I've only done I was a guest on somebody's podcast and it was live and I was, holding my breath before I could talk. And then I had a friend who did an online summit and she asked me to help interview people. I felt very unprepared because I just didn't know about the people I was interviewing very much until the day before, and it was a great experience for me. It turned out fine. I mean, I was beating myself up the whole time, but it turned out fine, and it was really good for me, but it still makes me nervous because, like, I do forget what I'm gonna say sometimes, but I can take that out. I've been interviewing people
Right.
don't know.
Right. But also you do show up prepared, meaning you're gonna always have some questions that you can turn
Oh,
to.
yeah.
You always have a script ready, an
Sure.
opening script that you can just read. It does not
Sure.
matter.
Yeah.
Nobody is expecting you to be a brilliant extemporaneous
Yeah.
stage person. But the fun thing about going live, which can is good for your brain,
Yeah.
is you're hosting, you're talking to your guest, and you've got questions from the audience and
Yeah.
comments that you need to pop up on the screen. And when COVID hit, we took our monthly pitch event and brought it right online. First of all, my co-host and I had to start it off and say hi to everybody across all the
Right.
channels, then bring in the startup founder to do their pitch, pull ourselves out, make sure their
Yeah.
slide deck went through okay, come back in, answer questions from the audience, and do all of that thing, then bring in the investors.
Right.
It was like I felt I'd run a marathon by the time I was
Yeah.
done. It was a lot of parts and pieces and very
Right.
challenging. So it just depends on how you want to do live. And I know what you mean because I was recently interviewed just this past October by one of the top thought leaders in the pro aging space, Janine Vandenberg, and she does this coffee chat. And so it's all people have to RSVP, but it is live.
Yeah.
And they've got and she didn't really prepare any questions for me ahead of time. So
Yeah.
when I showed up 15 minutes early to have a chat with her, she goes, "Okay, questions have been coming in from everybody. We're going to need you to talk about podcasting, startup life, and aging." I'm like, "Whoa." Um, okay, we'll see how I'm gonna go because I have
Yeah.
no idea how this is gonna go.
Yeah.
And fortunately, everything came out. Now, had I been in person, Shara, that would have been a different thing.
Right.
I have a really hard time in front of people talking. I will never sign up for an in-person speech. I will never be that person
Yeah.
at Podfest doing the 20-minute session.
Me either.
I just no.
Yeah.
And what I found fascinating is when I've interviewed those folks who were brilliant at that, right?
Mhm.
They get very nervous doing what we're doing
Yeah. It is
because
weird.
it's too extemporaneous for them.
Yeah.
Whereas they've got that speech memorized inside and out. They just go, "Buh, buh, 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 buh."
Right.
So
For me, like I've asked people to come on, and I had asked an author a long time ago, and she said yes, and then she had to tell me no because she said, "Every time I look at that on my calendar, I want to get sick. I'm so nervous about it," and so she canceled. And I thought, "Well, okay." To me, I'm just talking to someone, like, I'm just talking to you.
That's
I know
right.
there's lots of people that will be listening, but they're not in front of my face, and so to me, it's totally different than a crowd. Like,
It's
I'm with you, I'm not signing up to speak anywhere. But
and
this is easy for me. This is just
right?
conversation.
Yeah, it's great, and I am one of those people who one of my favorite things in the world to do is to walk into a room full of strangers.
Yeah.
'Cause I just like, "Who am I gonna meet today? What are they oh my gosh, I'm so curious." I know that makes a lot of people, A, sick to their stomach, and B,
Yeah.
shudder, and then they'll say, "Oh, hell no." But, for me, that's very exciting, yet I still can't get up in front of the room. I'd rather just be
Right.
networking and talking to people.
Yeah. Well, you are a force to be reckoned with, I think. Anybody would be honored to have you, or they should be honored, feel honored to
Thank
have you because
you.
you're just full of joy and full of life, and you're just so fun to talk to. I enjoyed meeting you. And I know there's a million things we could talk about today with podcasting and what all you're doing. I think your message is very important. I don't wanna get to that point and think I have nothing left to do. So I'm glad I started my podcast when I did. I wasn't a young pup. I was
That's
al
right.
I'd already raised my kids, so I've got grandkids, and, I'm glad I started when I did because I feel like I said, I'm just getting started. So your message is important. But if there's one last thing you would like to leave with everybody before we go, what is
Mm.
something you could tell them?
Remember the world needs you.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, what you've done, what you haven't done. You know, there is more inside you that the world needs. There is someone out there who needs you, and it's uniquely you. And you there's a great quote out there by Seth Godin. Sure, it's been done before, but not by you and not for us. And
That's awesome.
what that means is you will vibe with a certain group of people that will just not be able to get enough of you, even if it's just
Yeah.
5 or 10 people. And I just want you to remember that doesn't matter how many wrinkles and barnacles are on your face, your lived experiences, your wisdom helps so many people.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. Someone recently shared on a LinkedIn post that when she went through a horrible traumatic event as a teenager, she could not turn to her peers for support.
Yeah.
She had to go to her elders, and she couldn't even go to her parents or her parents' friends because they were traumatized or they were too busy. It was the over 60 crowd who had time
Wow.
to listen, and they had deep empathy because they had already been hit many times with
Yeah.
trauma of life. And they held her hand, they got her through really difficult times. So remember, you're very important. And we need you. Do not be caged by your age and absolutely age out loud and proud. Don't ever let anybody say, oh, well, 60 is the new 40. What, I'm gonna lose 20 years of lived
Right.
experiences? No, I'm
No.
60 and it means 60.
That's
And
right.
make sure people honor you and, you honor you.
Yeah. I think those relationships are so important with an older crowd, and the closer I get to 60, I can't say that so much, but I had a great relationship with my grandmother growing up and her friends, I was just with her all the time, and so to me, those that are older than me are super important because I have so much to learn and I love listening. I love listening to their stories and that's why I think what you're doing is just so important.
Well, one of the fastest ways to dissolve ageism is to not be afraid to be the oldest person in the room,
Right.
because all of a sudden I mean, the most common feedback I get for the podcast is from the 40 and 50-year-olds going, "What? I can be doing oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm looking forward to those years."
Yeah.
And I would say one of my dearest friends is 30 years younger than me. I
Wow.
can't get enough of her. The reciprocity is there. I learn from her. She learns from me.
Yeah.
We laugh. We just have the best time. So that helps everybody see that
Yeah.
you belong after you're
Right.
65. You're still needed. You're still necessary. But you have to have the courage to be the oldest person in the room.
Yes. Somehow I blinked, and sometimes I am the oldest person in the room.
I know, how did
What
that
happened?
happen?
How did y'all all become my kids' age all of a sudden? I don't know.
Well, and
It's so
I was
fun.
so shocked in the startup ecosystem at my monthly event. These 20-year-olds, they could not get enough of me, and I'm like, "I got shoes older than you."
Yeah.
And I got shoes that could be your grandmother. And, but and that's important for those of us who have aged,
Yeah.
into past 60 to remember that 20-year-olds can be fascinated by you.
Absolutely.
And how wonderful is that?
Absolutely. I love it. Andy, this has been so much fun. I'm so excited to get to share this on my 200th episode. I just think that's so special.
Get
So,
the clappers.
Andy, thank you so much.
Thank
You were my
you.
last interview for the year for 2025. So,
Happy, happy holidays and happy,
yes.
happy 2026.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Merry Christmas and Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year to
Merry, Merry
you.
Christmas to you and your loved ones.
Alrighty.
Cheers.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye bye.